and we are live. I get to interview the Jenny Mitich, and she is a fantastic carnivore YouTuber right here on YouTube. Now, Jenny, welcome, and let us know how you found the carnivore diet first.
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. You are like the queen of carnivore, so I'm very honored to be here tonight. Thank you. So I found
Thank
carnivore through my husband. He had found Dr. Ken Berry on YouTube, as many of us did, and he wanted me to try it with him. But I told him he was crazy. There's no way you can get all the vitamins and minerals that you need eating only meat. So I said no. But then for the next 6 months, I watched the videos with him in our living room. We had little babies, twin boys that were, like 6 months old at that point. So I started listening and absorbing the material. And while this was happening, I was having a really hard time losing my post-pregnancy weight gain. I gained 70 pounds with the boys.
Oh, wow. Got
Yeah.
it.
So I was already overweight when I got pregnant. So it was not a pleasant experience. I was almost 250 pounds on the day I delivered the boys. So I was having a hard
Wow.
time losing the weight, doing the, standard low fat, 1200 calories, fruits and veggies, lean meat, no fat. And so I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to give carnivore a try. I had been wearing a continuous glucose monitor for about 3 months at that point, and I was really curious to see what going carnivore would do to my glucose levels and how much weight I could lose. So I actually started before my husband, which is so funny because he was the one who was like, oh, I want to do it. Yeah.
Yes.
I started on December 22nd, 2022. And
Nice.
that first month I lost 8 pounds, and my glucose went from an average of the low 100s down to the 80s. And I was sold on it, and I've been carnivore ever since.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
because you wanted to lose weight as well, how did the weight loss goals go after you went carnivore?
So it was kind of up and down. The first month I lost 8 pounds. The second month I only lost 2. I had included a lot of dairy, and dairy just I don't do well with dairy. So the next month I
Wow.
cut the dairy, I lost 5.5 pounds. So a total of 15 pounds the first 3 months. And then I've had a few things, thrown in the loop with Hashimoto's kind of reared its ugly head. So it's been a little bit harder for me to lose weight. But currently I am down 50 pounds from my starting weight. And it's been almost 3 years. December will be 3 years.
Wow. And so for
Yeah.
you to achieve this 50-pound weight loss, which is incredible, um, what were some of the things that worked for you?
Keeping it simple. So like beef,
Mm,
butter, bacon, and eggs. I eat a lot of ribeyes. It's so funny. I'm so glad we're talking because you obviously were one of the first people we watched too. And there was some video of you where you were eating butter like from a stick. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. My husband was like, what? And I'm like, I'm going to try it. And I tried it. I'm like, this is weird. So I didn't do it again. But now I do eat like frozen butter from the stick occasionally, and I enjoy it now.
love
But
it.
in the beginning, not so much. Yeah, it was just I had to tell you that. So yeah, I
Oh,
keep it really simple.
yeah.
I have found that throwing in like sardine fasting and things like that has been really helpful. And
Yes.
then, yeah, like meal timing, I do really well if I eat before like 4 p.m. There's certain little tweaks, sleep, stress, there's all these things. There's so many
I
things you
love
can
that.
dial in, but that's kind of what's been working for me.
I would absolutely love to learn from you about your experience with sardine fasts. I personally haven't done sardine fasts, and I know that a lot of carnivores in the community swear by sardine fasts. So, what is your approach with sardine fasts, and what are your best tips for someone who wants to try it for the first time?
Yeah. So sardine fasting is just when you're sardine fasting, you're basically mimicking a water fast, but you are eating some food. So it's
Mm.
not as miserable as a water fast. I kind of see it as like a starter fast. If you
Oh,
hate sardines, it's going to be hard to do. But if you can tolerate them, like I do, I don't love them. I just tolerate them. It can be really effective. So I started with a 3 day just to test drive the service.
wow.
I typically eat, I don't know, anywhere between 3 to 6 cans per day. You just follow your hunger. I think Dr. Boz calls it, you have to be sardine hungry. That means you're really hungry if you're going to be eating some sardines. Um, but that's typically what I would do. And I just kind of eat when I'm hungry and just go for amount of time and you're good to go. And I've done 3-day, 7-day, 10-day, and 14-day sardine fasts. All of these experiments are on my channel, where I document like before and after DEXA scans and blood work and stuff. And I have seen just profound fat loss, because when we're losing weight, we don't want to lose lean mass. We want to lose fat. And I've had my most successful fat loss doing sardine fasts out of all the fasts I've done.
Oh, okay. And so typically they're 3-day long fasts, sardine fasts.
It can be, I think that's a good place to start. You don't want to overdo it, and you need to kind of see, is this something that I can do or even want to do? So I think that's a really great place to start. But I mean, you can go as long as you want. There's a woman, gosh, I think she was friends with Kelly Hogan, she did like 150 days of sardines.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know, but that's a little out there.
That's great though. So with the sardine fast, are you allowed to like drink water, and how many times are you eating the sardines throughout the day? Is it like 3 sardines or unlimited sardines?
Sure. So it's unlimited, but sardines are kind of self-limiting because
God.
there's only so many you can eat. They're very high protein. They're kind of the perfect macros. They have a lot of protein, they have some fat, and just there's only so many you can eat. I think in one sitting, I would do like maybe 2 cans. You just eat whenever you're hungry. So you just follow your hunger. You can drink whatever you want, water. If you drink coffee, you could do coffee. If you drink tea, diet soda, whatever it is. I usually just drink like sparkling water or regular water with like electrolytes in it. And then typically it's just the sardines. You could do ones in oil or in water. I, of course, avoid anything with vegetable seed oils in it, only ones that are canned in olive oil, or you can just do the ones that are canned in water if you're wondering about the questionable nature of the oil used in that can. So that's kind of the way to do it there. And then sometimes though, I would do a sardine fast where I would like add a recipe. Like I would fry the sardines in some butter, or I would make like a sardine egg salad. And then there were some nights when I would just be like really craving fat. So I would go and just eat a few bites of butter from the freezer, just sardines and butter. And that was still really effective. So there's so many variations of it. But at its simplest, eat sardines from the can, oil or water, as many as you want when you're hungry.
Perfect. We have a follow-up from a viewer here. Kimmy wants to know, I love sardines, but can I substitute with kipper snacks?
I think so. I think you could do tuna. I think you could do mackerel. The key is I think the fish itself, getting the omega-3 fatty acids and just making sure they have a lot of protein in them. Because that really helps to keep you satiated during the fast and helps you maintain your lean mass and lose fat.
Fantastic. By the way, those who are joining us in this live, feel free to drop your questions. Jenny is open to helping you guys out, troubleshoot. We all know that carnivore is so personal, right? So when you guys drop the questions, we are able to interact and help you guys out. Just start with a capital Q and we'll go through. So this is from Amanda. Jenny, would you recommend carnivore for women trying to conceive or get pregnant? If so, is beef butter salt enough, or do you need other foods or supplements?
I am a strong proponent of carnivore and animal-based diets for fertility. Yeah. I think it's meat and animal products are some of the most nutrient-dense foods that you can find, especially higher fat when you're trying to get preggers, because you need it. You're growing a placenta, or maybe 2, like you did in my case. You're growing some babies. You need the fuel. I probably wouldn't just do beef, salt, and butter. I would probably eat the carnivore rainbow and eat all of the meats. If you need to throw in some plants, it is what it is. But I think if you do the bulk of your food is the animal base, you're going to be setting yourself up for success and also for breastfeeding once the baby is born. If I have another kid, I'm definitely going to be doing an animal-based pregnancy and sharing everything about it. So
yes, please. That would be great. And do you plan to have another kid?
We're thinking about it. We're thinking about it. I'm 41, so like my time is ticking. So we might. But as of right now, yeah, we're thinking about it.
So how young are your twin boys currently?
They're going to be 4 in November.
Great. Yeah, that's a good age difference, 4 years
I
apart.
think
Yeah,
so.
4 or 5.
I kind of
Yeah.
wish it would have been a little closer because my brother and I are 2 years apart, but I was so
Uh,
wiped out tired with the Hashimoto's. There's just no way I could have handled it. I would have been dead.
I'm sure. I understand. Erin says, I have been facing heavy constipation and I mostly eat chicken. What is the reason?
I mean, I would say try to eat some fattier cuts of meat and see if that helps, or add fat. That can be
Yeah.
helpful. Um, those would be my first two go-tos. Like, what kind of chicken? Are you eating chicken breast? Are you eating chicken wings?
Yeah,
Diversify a
exactly.
bit.
Totally. I agree. Let us know, Erin, if you can in the chat. Um, Justice says for skin conditions, how long does it usually take into carnivore to see biggest results?
How long did it take for you?
6 months took me
Okay.
the longest. That was the last thing to heal. Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, I didn't really have any skin issues when I came into it. Mine was more mental health and weight. So I don't really have
right.
any experience with that question.
No worries. But Justice, if you want to share with me like what skin issues you're currently dealing with, I can give you better troubleshooting tips. But I dealt with cystic acne, psoriasis, rosacea, and eczema. And I would say 6 months of consistent carnivore eating was what I needed to actually see changes and positive healing in my skin issues. And I've actually heard this a lot in the carnivore space that skin is the last thing to heal. So if you have a whole slew of issues you're looking to heal, expect the skin problems to heal last because the skin is the largest organ. Like it literally covers your entire body. So it probably just needs a bit more adaptation and time to settle in before the body is like ready to tackle the skin issues. So just a heads up on that.
I would say also, I feel like the
Let's keep
skin
going.
is the canary in the coal
This is
mine.
from,
I
right.
think we froze. So, did you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I said I think the skin is like the canary in the coal mine. So, if after like 6 months on carnivore, your skin is still having issues, I would say perhaps start looking for another root cause issue.
Mm,
That could be something else, maybe some kind of virus,
yeah,
parasite, mold, something. It's worth a shot to look at some other things too.
exactly. I think I might be frozen, but can you hear me?
I can hear you, and you are frozen for me.
Okay. Well, we will keep going since you're not frozen. This is from Alyssa. Uh, Jenny, what kinds of things were you into for fun or for work before you became such a big part of the carnivore community? Did the data nerd thing come naturally? Love it.
Yeah, I've always been a big old nerd. I have been a voracious reader since I was like 2.5. I started reading very young. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
kind of a thing. My degree is actually in management and finance. So I do like, numbers and business type stuff, but I found a passion for nutrition starting in, I think it was 2015, 2016. I saw Mark Sisson on the Joe Rogan podcast, and I bought all of his books and just devoured them. And that kind of started me down the path. So yeah, that's my background on being a nerd.
Love that. And what are some things you like to do for fun?
Now, that's a really good question. Reading. Gorn and I like to go to movies. So we love to go to the
Yeah.
movie theater and see big box movies. We do a lot of travel. So we have a vintage RV that we're working on, and we take the boys all around the United States in that. We used to
Wow.
travel a lot before we had children. Like every month we were somewhere. So that's kind of something we really enjoy doing. And we used to be big foodies, but now we do the foodie stuff with carnivore ingredients.
Oh, that's awesome. Love that. Let's keep going. This is from Drew. Do people lose hair going low carb? Did you?
Yeah, it can happen. I think my hair
Mm.
loss was related to thyroid issues, though. I don't think it was related to going low carb. But sometimes if you shock your system into going low carb way too fast, that can happen. If you're not eating enough protein, that can happen.
Mm.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. It can be prevented, though, in most cases.
And what are your tips to prevent it?
I mean, I would say if you're coming from a standard American diet, eating a lot of carbohydrates every day, I would strongly suggest easing into carnivore. Like, just reduce your
Mm.
carbs by like 50 grams a week. Try to avoid
Yeah.
keto flu, up the protein, up the whole real foods while you're reducing the ultra processed, and
Yes.
then take it from there. And then make sure you're getting at least 100 grams of protein per day. Your hair is a protein. And if you're not getting enough protein, your nails, your hair, and your skin are going to suffer. So make sure, prioritize it.
I love that. So I actually went from vegan to carnivore with no transition. It was like an overnight switch, which I
Nice.
tried to
I
bring
overnight
awareness.
switched too.
Oh, did you now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like I was so excited to heal because all of the success stories that I was seeing, I was like, "Oh my God, this is so exciting. I feel like this is going to work for me." So I couldn't wait. I just couldn't wait. So with the lack of transition for me, I actually dealt with crazy oxalate dumping. It was very bad and it was not enjoyable. You too, what type of oxalate dumping did you deal with?
I thought I had keto flu for 6 weeks. I was eating so many high oxalate fruits and vegetables before I started, like quinoa, raspberries, kiwis, dark chocolate, like sweet potatoes every day. I had no idea what was going on. But yeah,
Yeah,
similar. It was horrible.
similar. I know. It does go away with time though, right? Like it's gone for you
Yes.
now. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
that's
deal with
good.
that anymore.
Awesome. Okay, so Gaming Bro says, can you use canned salmon instead of the sardines?
Sure, I think so. I think you need to figure out what works best for you. And if just eating sardines for 3 days sounds like that to you, do canned salmon if it's better. See what happens. That's the only way you can know is by experimenting on yourself and seeing what the results are.
Exactly. And I'd actually love to ask all of you guys watching a question. Do comment your answer or in the live chat. Let me know if you've tried sardine fasts. What type of sardine fast, like the length, did you do and how did you like it? Share your experiences, please. Jessica wants to know, I started carnivore and I got my period back after 5 months. Now, out of nowhere, it's gone after 9 months. Any advice to get it back? And I had a negative pregnancy test. Any
Yeah, I was
thoughts?
going to say, are you pregnant? I think for that one, I would look at your macros and
Mm.
like track it for a week and kind of see what you're doing. You may need to up the fat a little bit. You may
Mhm.
need to make adjustments in other places. But nutrition is not everything as much as we wish it was. There might be some other root cause issue. And
Yeah,
depending on your age, Jessica, perhaps maybe some hormone and or thyroid testing with a functional medicine practitioner would be a good idea just to check under the hood and see what's going on.
fantastic. And Jessica, maybe you're not even knowing it, but you're eating a little bit less than your body needs. So going back to 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, if you're currently pushing OMAD or longer fasts, it's always nice to have like a little recovery period of more meals throughout the day. Being intentional about your fat could actually do the trick. Love it.
Agreed.
Uh, yeah. Namu says, I fell off in July after a successful 9 month run. I have the worst sugar cravings. It's like Satan himself is controlling me. Help.
Yeah, I feel you on that. When I did my sugar diet experiment, um, it was really, really, really hard to get back on carnivore. Took me like three
Okay, so
weeks.
what were you eating for your sugar experiment?
So I just followed like Mark Smelly Bell's macros because he was one of the
Yeah.
big major influencers pushing it. So I was eating like fruit. The first few days I did fruit and sugar, and then the next few days I did like candy and fruit and sugar. It was literally all sugar. I was eating 300 to 700 grams of carbs a day.
Wow.
It was bad. I would never do it again. That video is on my channel. Weird results, very interesting data. But the sugar cravings and the mental health issues just came roaring back. On day 7, I
Oh,
actually had anxiety, and I haven't had anxiety in years, Bella. It's insane.
wow. That's
So what I would say is ease your way back into it. First of all, don't lean into the negative self-talk, the shame, the guilt. It is what it is. It happens to the best of us. It happens to everyone. We're only human. Okay. Second, make some adjustments. Cut out the stuff that you've been eating. Maybe do keto for a little bit and just get back to meat, fruit, and vegetables, and then ease your way back onto carnivore. When I've had a cheat, like a cheat week, it's happened in the past, or when I did the sugar diet, I felt so much better after about a week of getting all that stuff out of my diet. And then I felt mentally and physically strong enough to just continue going back onto carnivore. So the cravings will go away. They will, but you have to remove the sugar, get it out of there.
yeah, perfect. I love it. Let's keep going to Kimmy. As an older woman, do I need a vitamin and what do you recommend?
I think supplementation is compatible with a carnivore diet. We all have different lived experiences. And I like to kind of supplement based on testing. I don't just like to supplement all willy-nilly, although I think there are a few kind of no-brainers, vitamin D and a K2. You could get a good multi, but I would be really cautious about reading the ingredients labels and making sure you're getting the actual bioavailable forms of the vitamins. Like for vitamin B12, you want methylcobalamin. You don't want anything that's like cyanide based. So I would do a little
Mm,
research on that. I take a slew of vitamins for my Hashimoto stuff. So I think
mm,
it's going to be different for everyone. But yeah,
yeah.
I think it's possible.
I'd love to know what vitamins you take for Hashimoto's.
Oh man, I take so many. So I'm taking selenium. I take a zinc,
Okay.
copper, and iron mix because they all kind of work together. I take a methylated B complex. I am taking a berberine. That's not necessarily for the Hashimoto's, but just overall. What else am I taking? I do obviously electrolytes, so magnesium, potassium, and sodium. I'm doing iodine.
Yes.
So I am doing right now 21 drops 3 times a day of this specific
Ooh,
iodine that's like really, really, really pure because that's important. And with Hashimoto's patients actually need more iodine than regular like hypothyroid.
yes.
What else? I'm taking an L-glutamine powder for leaky gut because that's kind of a root cause of Hashimoto's. I do so many. I have a collagen I do to try to help with the
Yes.
leaky gut.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot, Bella.
That's great. I love it. Now, what is this brand of iodine? I'm so curious. The super
Okay,
pure?
so it's called Accelerated. It's the brand is Accelerated Supplements. It's Acceleradine, I think. I don't have a bottle because I literally just ran out. I'm getting a new one. I'm having the owner of the company on my podcast a
Right.
couple of weeks from now, but she's like obsessed with purity. So all of the supplements are really clean. I'll send
Amazing.
you a link to it
Thank you
later.
so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Perfect. All right. So Justice followed up with the skin issues is basically eczema on the chin area. So if it's just eczema, I highly recommend giving it more time. Stick to the carnivore diet. Try not to veer off and do those cheat meals. Try not to veer off and have plants if you can help it, because you just don't know how much healing you can have, especially in skin, unless you give it a proper go with a strict carnivore diet. Okay. So keep me posted. I hope that the eczema goes away soon. Raphael, do you approve conventional meat for a successful carnivore lifestyle?
Yeah, I eat conventional meat all the time. I think it boils down to a few things. In a perfect world, sure, we would all eat grass-fed, grass-finished everything, but it's expensive. It can be hard to get. I buy a lot of stuff from Costco and my local grocery store, Jewel, and a local international grocery store. I think it can be done.
Nice.
It depends on price, which taste you prefer, and availability. So do what works best for you. Eating conventional beef is still going to be better than eating some cereal or some pasta. So
Exactly.
you're going to be in good shape.
That's totally agreed. Amazing. And how has it affected your cycle and mood in the beginning, especially when dealing with depression? How did it affect your hormones and cycles?
So my cycles have always been kind of regular, but I had horrible cramps forever. I used to
Mm,
go home from school because of my cramps every month. I do not have cramps anymore. None. Like if I
nice.
didn't have it like timed out perfectly, I would not even know my cycle was going to start. So that was really good.
Yeah.
Happy about it.
I'm sure. Amazing. So for me, I started carnivore with no period, and I was looking to regain it with a carnivore diet. And it happened within 2 to 3 months of just eating carnivore, but a very high fat carnivore diet. It came back. And ever since, I've had a period every single month, very regularly. I would say after a year of carnivore, that's when I was like, interesting. I don't even notice that I'm on my period anymore. As in,
Yes.
I'm no longer getting any negative effects or negative symptoms, zero chronic pain, no more cramps. I actually usually get a very crippling headache the day before my period starts. On carnivore, no more headaches.
Huh.
And I was actually, yeah, I talked to one of my closest girlfriends, and so she has done carnivore multiple times, and then she does animal-based, and she just tries different things, right? And she told me ever since she stopped carnivore and started eating plants again, her headaches before the period came back. And so I'm honestly so curious to learn, what is it that causes headaches before a period? And how is it possible that a carnivore diet can eliminate the period headaches? Like, exactly what is it? Do you know?
I don't know offhand, but I mean, I would just assume it's some kind of phytotoxin, some kind of plant toxin that is wreaking havoc on your system.
Maybe, maybe. So
Yeah.
if if anyone knows, let us know in the comments, please. Something in my throat. But let's keep going. Laura, nice to see you. Hi, Bella. Hi, Jenny. I did a 5 day sardine fast once, and that was enough consecutive sardine days for me. Don't think I'll ever repeat it either.
I feel you on that. I did a 14-day and I didn't eat sardines again for 6 months. So, uh,
Nice. Jerry, when did you know you could go off depression meds?
so for me, I wasn't on depression meds when I started carnivore. I did have a low dose Xanax that I was taking for anxiety attacks. I would probably only take it a couple days a week, but I just kind of my anxiety attacks stopped. So I just kind of stopped using it and I let the prescription lapse and I don't even have the prescription anymore. So if you're currently on psychiatric medications, I strongly suggest working with your prescriber to slowly titrate down. Dr. Georgia Ede talks about this in her book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. Um, and, some people will have to be on medication forever. Some people can completely come off and some people will be at, lower doses. It's going to be different for everyone, but don't just stop taking your depression meds. Like that can be really dangerous. Just work with your practitioner to slowly titrate.
Fantastic. Target prime rib. Jenny, what made you do the sugar diet? And as a type 2 diabetic, I would be afraid that it would bring me back.
So the reason I did it was because there was so many people in the carnivore community talking about it. Like I had so many comments on this thyroid video that I released that were like, you should try the sugar diet. And I'm like, what is the sugar diet? So I looked it up. It was real. What? So I do N of one experiments on my channel. It was just the perfect N of one experiment. I had to do it. I had to do it. And I got so much good data. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. It's the sugar diet wasn't effective for me because of many reasons, but one, because of my autoimmune. You cannot eat that amount of sugar when you have an autoimmune condition. I suffered. It wasn't great. I did not have fun. I thought I'd have fun eating, lemon heads and Sour Patch Kids, and it was great for a minute, and then I was like, I wanted to die. So
Wow.
never again.
So, would you say there is a group of people or a camp of people where a sugar diet could possibly work for?
It depends. So yes, I do think so, but it depends on what you mean by work. If losing weight is your only goal, then sure, there's lots of people losing weight on a sugar diet. But in that low protein environment and low nutrient environment, you're not getting nutrients from sugar. Maybe a little tiny bit from the fruit, but you need the fat and you need the protein. Um, I worry about the long-term implications of doing it for a long term. Some people do like sugar fasting where they do it for a few days and like, oh, I lost a bunch of weight. I'm like, well, what's the composition of that weight? Was it lean mass? Was it fat mass? Did you do a DEXA scan? What's your blood work look like?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea. From my data, I was like, not good,
Yeah.
especially for a type 2 diabetic.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
probably the last person that should ever do
Do
that.
not do the sugar diet. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron says, if someone started carnivore but they did not take electrolytes, would that lead them to sudden death? Electrolytes is one which actually transfer electrical signals between cells to nerves. What do you think?
I've never heard of sudden death from not getting enough electrolytes, though. I mean, I had horrible keto flu symptoms because my electrolytes were out of balance. So I made sure to take them. They mitigate it. Death, though, that's pretty extreme. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I mean, I have yet to hear of any sudden death after going carnivore for anyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually started carnivore no salt. Zero salt. I didn't take electrolytes. I was literally just leaning on the meats and the butter and the eggs that I was eating for electrolytes. So, Erin, did you know that you can get electrolytes from purely meat and animal foods? So consider
Yeah.
that. Like, even though you're not supplementing with electrolytes, even if you're no salt, which there are a few out there, myself included, you could still get electrolytes from the meat, specifically when you eat it super rare. That's when the electrolytes are very intact and you're not killing it with the heat. So, something to consider. It will not lead to sudden death. Okay, Alyssa, have your cravings completely subsided now that you've been back on carnivore for a while? If so, how long did it take?
Yeah. The cravings are gone. It took, let me see, 3 weeks. 3 weeks to go from the end of the sugar diet to back to full carnivore and not have cravings. But I've also been a long-term carnivore, so I kind of get back into the swing of things pretty quick.
Amazing. Okay, well, let's see. I wanted to ask you about, oh, yeah. So, how do you balance? This is just a personal question for me. How do you balance doing YouTube videos, raising twin boys, and still having, a life? Is that even possible? Because, I'm thinking about being pregnant myself one day, and I would love to take any tips from mothers like yourself anytime I can.
Yeah. It's a lot. As a mom, I mean, as a woman, we're already balancing a lot of plates in the air. But as a mom, you
Yeah.
just add like 15 plates. So I have a lot of help. I strongly suggest making sure you have, like, we have a nanny. We also have my husband's parents live like 15 minutes away from us, and my family is an hour away. So we have a
Mm,
lot of help. It takes a village. It really does.
yeah.
And then just impeccable time management. I mean, you already have that down. So, like, the baby or babies just kind of fold into your life. And you'll have, like, I think of it as like the season that I'm in right now. I'm in the season of young children. I won't always be in that season. When they can take care of themselves a little bit more, I'll be able to do other things like go work out first thing in the morning. I can't leave my kids right now at 6 a.m. They're going to wake up and they need me. But someday I'll be
Mhm.
able to. So I just kind of think of it that way. But yeah, lots of help and time management.
That's fantastic advice. Thank you. Now, Jenny, the videos where I found out about you on YouTube, where you were recommended on my For You page, was your carnivore lab work educational videos. And I found that to be so, so helpful and so detail oriented. And I feel like a lot of people who watched that video really found it helpful as well. So, what are some of the takeaways that you learned from looking at your lab work throughout your carnivore journey?
Yeah, Bella, I used to know nothing about blood work. Zip,
Okay.
zilch. And when I came to YouTube, I was on carnivore for like 6 months. I was looking for content, and there's so much now, so much blood work
Yes.
content, but there wasn't any. None. So I had to figure all the stuff out for myself. So I wanted to share it because it shouldn't be that hard to figure out how to read a lipid panel, for God's sake, like that's a basic blood test. So I love blood work. I'm slightly obsessed with it. I get blood work once a month. I just got blood work. um,
Wow.
yeah, we're running a fun N-of-1 experiment right now. So we had to get some blood work and Dexos. But yeah, I have like 20 videos on my channel about blood work. I think it's good to get it at least once a year just to take a look under the hood and see what's going on. Like a standard lipid panel, a comprehensive metabolic panel is going to have your fasting glucose on it. It'll have a few kidney and liver function numbers and electrolytes. It's like a $10 test. A fasting insulin. If I was going to tell anybody in your audience the one blood test they should get done,
Yes.
it's a fasting insulin
Great.
because it is the number one. It's another canary in the coal mine. It will tell you your pre-diabetes risk decades before your A1C and glucose begin to be impacted. And the funny thing is, this is like a $14 test if you order it online. Your doctor will order it, but they don't typically order it. You have to ask them to. You want it to be in the single digits, ideally between 2 and 6. Once you start going up in the double digits, you're starting to get towards like, okay, what's going on here? You can make some adjustments. It's a cheap and easy way to kind of figure out what's going on. Then there's other tests. HSCRP is like a systemic inflammation marker. GGT is a liver function number. It can tell you if you have fatty liver. And then you could do crazy tests if you want to, but I think there's just good basic ones to get, at least once a year, and just keep an eye on it. You're the only person that's going to be taking care of your health. You have to be personally responsible for it. The doctors and everyone else in your life, they'll only do so much. They can only do so much. It's up to you to be personally responsible for your own health. And I think for me, I'm a strong believer in having as many data points as possible. So that's why I do
Amazing. Now, yeah, do you have a favorite website that you do your lab work from?
Yeah, I'm typically ordering from ownyourlabs.com.
Got it.
They have a really good selection and they use LabCorp for testing. So if you don't have a LabCorp in your area, you could use, I think Ulta Lab Tests uses both Quest and LabCorp, and then Walk-in Labs is another great option. So if I'm doing like a urine test for like, I don't know, testing arsenic levels in sardines or something, I'll order that from Walk-in Labs because Own Your Labs doesn't have as many urine tests. But for all the blood, I'm doing Own Your Labs.
Fantastic. Love that. This one is coming in from Aaron. How much butter could we take in a day? What are your thoughts?
I mean, you can take a lot. You could take a little. It depends. It depends on so many factors. So many factors. So I would say play it by ear. Play around with your macros and figure out how much do you eat in a day?
Ooh, these days it's much less than my first year of carnivore. I would say anywhere from a fourth to half a stick these days,
Okay.
with the highest amount during my period. But my first year, 1 to 2 sticks a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think that was because of the veganism? Like your body was just like, I need fat.
I 100% think it was because my body was malnourished and
Yeah.
it needed fat to bring back that period. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's
Yeah.
going to be for every person. I probably eat right now. I'm not eating a lot of butter right now. I had a couple pats of it the other day and I'll give it to my kids. They like to eat butter. But I'm not
Okay.
doing a ton right now, but I go through seasons. When I crave it, I eat it.
Right. Exactly. All right. This one's up. After being carnivore for a year and still not being fat adapted, what is your suggestion to help with that? I only eat meat, occasionally cheese, butter, and coffee. No eggs. They bother my stomach.
It could be so many things. I think that throwing in some fasting would be really helpful. I would cut the dairy. I would cut the cheese, any liquid dairy. Just try it for 3 to 4 weeks and see what happens.
Yeah.
That would be really helpful. And then I think fasting is just it resets your system and you don't need to be eating all the time, especially if you have a lot of fat on your body. Fasting is just a really effective way to lose weight. Start
Yeah,
with intermittent fasting, then do a 24 and then a 36. You can do sardine fasting and then you don't have to not eat. You can preserve your lean mass, but it's just like a lot of experimentation.
perfect. Would you say this is a good time to do a sardine fast to reset?
Yeah. Yeah. When you run into any kind of issues, weight loss stall or still not being fat adapted, like if you're measuring your ketones and they're nothing, I think throw in a fast. It's not going to hurt anything. And it's worth it just to see if it helps.
Perfect. And then April says, where is the fasting insulin test online?
Yeah. So I think it's like 45 or 46 states out of the 50 in the United States, you can order your own blood work online. The website will let you know if you live in a state where you can't order it. But ownyourlabs.com, walkinlab.com, and ultalabtests.com. You can order so many tests, but a fasting insulin on Own Your Labs is $14. It's also
Very
equally cheap other places. It's a very inexpensive test.
perfect. Tell us about your carnivore bar fast. How long would you recommend people live off of pemmican only?
Oh man, that was a hard one. I did a 14-day a 14-day carnivore bar fast. I just
Wow.
ate the honey salted and the salted for 14 days.
Mm,
It was okay. Here's what I learned. You can live for a very long time only eating pemmican. It really is the ultimate survival food. A carnivore bar
yes.
has like 20 grams of protein and like 35 grams of fat. So I wouldn't want carnivore bars are kind of expensive. So like I wouldn't recommend doing that long term, kind of like make your own if you wanted to do something like that. But yeah, you can live for months off of pemmican. You just got to make sure you're getting enough protein in too, so you don't lose lean mass. But yeah, that was a fun experiment. Very fun. Would I do it again? Probably not, but at least I did it once, you know.
And so how many bars were you eating in a day typically?
So that was interesting because I had ordered the bars during Black Friday to try to save some money, and
Yeah.
they got a ton of orders. So it was hard to get them. So I had to kind of ration what I had. If I had it my way, I would have eaten 4 to 5 bars per day. But there were some days where I was only eating like two. I did
Got
run
it.
into a low glucose situation on one of those days. But I
Yeah.
probably would have done more of the honey salted, less of the salted, and 4 to 5 per day would have been more than enough.
So cool.
Yeah.
All right. This is from April. What does it mean if certain butters make your mouth itchy? For me, it's whipped grassland butter.
That's so
Hmm.
interesting. I mean, anytime I think of an itch, I'm thinking of an allergic reaction or a histamine reaction of some kind. I wonder if it's something in that butter. Does it happen
Yeah,
with all butters or just that one? No, she said certain. Okay. Huh.
I guess so. So maybe there's something about that brand that is maybe causing a histamine response. Like, are they using aged or cultured butter? Because cultured
Yeah.
butter can cause histamine flare-ups if you have histamine intolerance. But just know histamine intolerance does go away. It can heal with a
Yeah.
carnivore diet. You just need to give it enough time to actually go
Sure.
away.
And
Yeah.
with
Did you
histamine issues, work on leaky gut stuff too.
Right. Did you ever struggle with histamine intolerance?
Thank God, no. It
That's
sounds
good.
terrible. Oh, I
Mhm,
couldn't
mhm.
imagine.
Yeah, so it could really be pretty bad. Okay, this one, I never ate fat, 60 plus. I'm finishing a 3-day fast. This morning, I put butter in my coffee based on I'm assuming Dr. Bright from Italy. Did I blow my fast having butter in coffee?
I don't typically think that breaks your fast. I when I'm looking at it, so I wear a continuous glucose monitor, so I like to look at glucose and ketones. If my ketones are still super high and my glucose is still nice and low, it didn't break your fast. Butter,
Mm,
no. I mean, unless you're adding like 5 sticks of it or something. If you're just doing a couple of pats of butter in your coffee, not a big deal.
yeah, exactly. I totally agree. Okay, perfect. Oh, that's not a serious question. He always cracks jokes in the chat.
I was gonna say pelican. I've never eaten pelican.
Okay, then let me ask you a question that I want to ask you. So, what are your tips for someone who's going carnivore and they've found their groove, they feel like they've adapted well, and they want to start tracking macros? What are your best starter tips on how someone should start tracking and focusing on macros?
Yeah, I do think get into the groove first, allow your body to become fat adapted, give it a couple of months before you really start tracking obsessively. I like to
Yeah,
use like my Fitness Pal or Chronometer or Carb Manager, whatever works best for you. I've just been using my Fitness Pal since like 2012, so I'm
great.
used to it. And then there's a few tips. So I would say on carnivore, you're basically eating like the same things every day. So those will become part of your like recent meal. So you can just kind of click.
Mm,
Always measure your meat raw when you're inputting it into the tracker, because it loses about 25% of its weight when cooked. So you want to make sure
yeah,
you're doing the raw measurement. And then if you're gonna track, you might as well just be like really consistent and exact about it. You know, if you're trying to track your macros, just make sure you're putting everything in. I track
mm,
my food sometimes. If I'm doing an experiment, I definitely do. But other times I just kind of let it ride. Typically, if I'm running into an issue, that's when I'll really start tracking. But if you have that data already and then you run into an issue, it's invaluable because you can look back and see patterns. You know, you can also
exactly.
do this in a journal. You don't have to do it on an app. I just think it's,
Right.
it's easier to track that way.
To see the data laid out for you. Totally.
Yeah.
Jenny, I do want to wrap up with announcing your book. Can you tell us about your book and when it's going to be out and what inspired you to write this book?
So this book is a labor of love. It actually just got sent to print on Thursday of last week. So it's being
Wow.
printed. Yay!
Okay.
You're going to be getting an early copy, so I will let you know when that's coming. But so it's called Complete Carnivore. It's a complete in-depth guide to the carnivore diet, along with 80 carnivore recipes. So it's thick. It's when I envisioned this book, I thought of it like the encyclopedia of carnivore. So it's
Mm,
got a complete like starter guide. It has a gradual carb reduction plan for those that don't want to go cold turkey. And then we walk through like, just basic advice on how to get started, but also like if you want to track macros, if you want to know a minimum amount of calories, if you want to know all of that kind of stuff, it's all in there. In addition to
yeah.
that, I have a full troubleshooting guide, an FAQ section of all the frequently asked questions that we all get on YouTube. So I've answered all of those. There's a whole chapter on monitoring your progress. So if you're
Amazing.
interested in blood work, DEXA scans, all that kind of stuff, we go into all the nitty gritty on that side. Then you move over
Wow.
to the 80 carnivore recipes. So recipes from super simple to complicated. So like if you're just starting the carnivore diet, it's perfect for you. If you've been a carnivore for 15 years, it's still perfect for you because you might want to use the monitoring your progress chapter or the troubleshooting or the recipes. So
Yes.
when I saw it in my brain, I was like, okay, I just want this to be on the shelf. And when people need it, they can pull it off and access it and get the answers to the questions that they need. So it's coming out on November 4th. I will be doing a book signing at Hack Your Health. You're going to be at Hack Your Health, right?
Yes. How exciting.
Yes, I know.
Yay.
So we'll get to hang out. Yay. So yeah,
Oh my
I'm very excited about it. It kind of came out of nowhere, but I'm so happy it did, and I think it's going to help a lot of people. I just want to help as many people as possible find optimal metabolic health, because if we can all at least be at like a baseline, just imagine the things that we can do as a society, individually.
God.
It's just like mind-boggling. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. So
I
yeah.
could not agree more. Is there a pre-order link?
Yes, there are pre-orders. I believe I sent them over to you. You can order
Okay.
it really anywhere books are sold.
Okay, I will make sure to link it down below. I also highly recommend you all take a second, open that description box down below, and please follow Jenny on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. She's on all of the platforms. She is a great source of inspiration and knowledge for when you go carnivore. So definitely check out Jenny. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
Jenny,
much.
for being on
Oh,
my channel. I
this
appreciate
was
it.
so much fun. This was so much fun. Let's do it
Oh,
again sometime.
I love that. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Great questions. We'll see you in our next live stream. Bye.